Garrett, I am so excited that you're here today. I have to say, when it comes to fitness, I always have really good intentions. A lot of our listeners know that back in a previous life, I was a fitness trainer, but I also kid around about how you have to pay me to work out. It takes a lot of commitment, but in the same breath, it doesn't. It should be a part of your life every day. So I was reading this study about how, or it was the survey, actually. It was about how with New Year's resolutions, the bulk majority of people always say they want to get more fit. So do you find, because I remember these days, do you find that come the new year, you suddenly have like a swarm of people coming into your practice?
Yeah, typically it's the same business cycle every year.
Yeah.
New Year's resolutions, business starts picking up. We start getting busy, and then right around spring into summer is our peak season. But
Really?
yeah, but definitely the ones who get an early start are always they're always a one step ahead, so to say.
So, I mean, when there's people that are coming in for those New Year's resolution, I mean, we all know that sometimes they can be fickle. It certainly is with me at times. So when it comes to New Year's resolutions, what is your approach when people come in? Because I think that I don't think anyone is somehow like particularly blinded to the fact that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to be able to get fit.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I'll tell you is my approach never changes, whether it's January 1st or whether it's December 30th. My approach is very basic. The thing is you have to find a program that works for you, for your lifestyle, the way your work schedule is, dietary needs, restrictions, stuff that you can't digest well, stuff that you're allergic to. So it's all about finding a customized program that will fit your lifestyle. Because, fitness is not a one size fits all thing. And what I found doing what I do is a lot of trainers or diet coaches who will give their clients plans are giving their clients these diets that just aren't realistic. And it's almost like a contest prep diet where it's egg whites, tilapia, asparagus. And it's this really extreme diet that almost sets you up for failure. So you do this thing for 8 weeks, 12 weeks, you lose all this weight. And then they're like, oh, I feel great. I lost 15, 20 pounds. But then what are you going to do? You're going to go back to what you did before. And then the thing is your metabolic rate is in such a fragile state at that time that their bodies just end up absorbing everything like a sponge, and they put the weight all the way back on. So the key is just to find a basic, proper nutrition plan where you're just learning or you're just learning how to eat properly, how to eat healthy, as opposed to a diet.
In other words, fuel instead of just, eating a certain way in order to get a result of losing weight, which I actually wanted to mention, because everybody should go and take a look at his Instagram page, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. I'm sorry, I was looking at it just earlier.
G Hawk Training. So that's
G Hawk Training. Now, amazing transformations on there. But what I really loved about it is the sense and sensibility of it all. It's talking about how, the fitness and everything, the difference. But I came across a post of where you had a lot of really wonderful women that you've been working with and showing their before and after, and their weight is almost identical. I think that people, and I think that particularly with women, we get really caught up in that number. I know no matter how much I recognize that muscle weighs more than fat, it's a hard one to wrap your brain around.
It is. Now, I preach all the time to my clients, stop scale watching. But no matter how many times I go through this, no matter how many hundreds of clients I've been through this issue with, it never changes. Everybody, it's just, you pay attention to the scale, you watch the numbers, And they say, oh, well, I want to get to 120. I want to get to 130. I said, well, what if you look better at 135? So the number doesn't matter. So what I teach is all my female clients, I train them hard. We train heavy. We train to build muscle. And females, they have this idea that once they start weight training, they're going to get bulky and big. Mm-hmm. But females obviously don't produce testosterone the way men do. So men, it's a lot easier to get bigger, but it's so important to build muscle, because what's going to change a female's physique the most is putting muscle tissue on, because muscle speeds up the metabolic rate. Muscle helps to burn off body fat. Muscle will help get rid of cellulite. So a lot of girls will just be doing cardio. They're afraid to lift weights, but then they have this really soft physique that's just, the cellulite's still there. Yes, you're thinner, but you're just very soft. So
I often compared it to like if I was to do that now, right? And I'm fluffy. But if I was to do that now, if I was to do cardio all the time, I would be the exact same body type. Everything would be the same, just a little smaller. And like, no, that's not what I want.
Yeah, definitely not. So, I use weight training to accentuate a physique. It's going to tighten you up. It's going to get you harder, tighter, more firm. It's going to burn cellulite off. It's going to get rid of body fat. A lot of girls now, they want the big butt, they want the thighs. So you can't do that by doing cardio all day. You also can't build a butt by just, putting one of those bands around your leg and doing butt kick. You have to get under weight, under heavy loads. You got to do basic movements, leg presses, lunges, squats, hip thrusts, all the basic movements in order to build a muscle tissue. But along with that is where the proper nutrition comes into play.
Right.
So to all my clients, I train them, but I also give them a nutrition program as well. Because if I can control somebody's nutrition along with their training, the results are going to be guaranteed. That's why if you look at my Instagram page, I have so many before and after pictures on there. And
so I know go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just going to say one more thing. So one thing that I do is I make all my clients who are on my diet coaching program to send me pictures every week. And every time my clients start, they're like, do I have to send pictures? I'm like, yes, it's very important, because what will happen is I'll be training a client for maybe 6 weeks. And they're like, you know what, Garrett, I'm frustrated. I've only lost 5 pounds. I feel like I've been working so hard. And I'm like, well, have you put your pictures together? And they say, no. And then when I compare the pics and I show them, I said, yeah, it's only a 5-pound difference, but look at the difference in your physique. And then they're blown away. Because the thing is,
I think that's something anyone can incorporate even at home, just taking a picture in front, or a selfie or whatever in front of a mirror or something.
It makes a big difference, because when I was competing and I was doing shows, and then when I decided that I wanted to compete at a higher level and I needed help myself, and I've worked with some of the best prep coaches in bodybuilding, and these guys would make me send pictures weekly, every week I'm sending pictures. And that's the best way to see the changes in a physique. So I use that method with my diet coaching program. And it's just so beneficial when I can send them their pictures back and they're shocked to see how much their physique changed. Because if you're dieting and, every time you take your shirt off, or every time you take a shower, you go to the bathroom, you're looking at yourself in the mirror multiple times a day. So you don't notice the changes happening because it's so slowly. But once you put pictures together week after week after week, then you can start to see all the changes. So,
I feel like that's even, I used to always do the measurements, the tape measure. Yeah. But I do feel, especially if people are taking it from home and not necessarily from someone that knows exactly where they're supposed to be doing and has consistency, it could be a little bit daunting if you lower down a couple of inches or go higher a couple of inches the next month. There could be a big fluctuation in numbers and they can get confused. I like the picture idea. I think I might have to start doing that.
Yeah, it helps out a lot, And I always tell my clients, like, I'm not going to post your pictures unless unless you let me. So I'll always ask them first, do you mind if because I have some really awesome transformation pictures that I can't post because they're
Right.
just like, oh, I'm kind of embarrassed. I don't want my pictures there. So I don't post them. But if you look at my page, there's tons of transformation pictures on there.
I mean, if I had those kind of transformation pictures, I'd be like, let's go show it. Why not?
You would think,
But I can understand that everybody feels that way. So, okay, so let's go to brass taxes here, because I mean, you don't have to explain to me why a trainer is phenomenal, because I mean, again, even trainers have trainers, just because you might be really good at something, it is great to have somebody fine tune, right? Plus on top of that, I mean, just the making sure that your form is good and that you're progressing the way you need to. But there are a lot of people that just want to start somewhere. I actually had a girlfriend that was telling me that she didn't want to go to a trainer until she got herself fit enough to go to a trainer. Which I appreciate, but in the same breath, I sit there and I think, okay, so if you were going to tell someone, all right, you're going to start something at home, just something to get things kickstarted until you can maybe find a trainer, what would you advise them to do?
Number one, first thing is going to be find a diet coach or start learning about nutrition so you can learn how to eat properly. That's the most important thing. No matter how hard you're working out, how often you're working out, if your nutrition is not set in place, if your macronutrients aren't met, you're not going to get anywhere. Yeah. So it all starts with nutrition first. And like, there's so many diets, like the keto diet, carnivore diet, all these like really crazy diets. But the thing is, those diets are not long-term solutions. Those diets are not sustainable. So my program, I believe in just giving somebody a basic sustainable menu. If I tell you, okay, look, Danielle, well, I'm going to put you on this diet, but you can't eat fruit. There's no cheese. You can't drink wine. So if it's so restrictive, you're not going to want to stick on it.
No.
So I like
and I know that for a fact. I almost get rebellious.
Yeah. So serious. That's always what happens, So I like to think of it as kind of like a 90-10 rule, 90% clean, 10% dirty. So I encourage my clients every week, go out, get a nice dinner, treat yourself. If you've been eating good all week, one meal out of the week or one day out of the week, depending on your situation, is not really going to harm you. Because like I said, it has to be sustainable.
Right.
And then, so if you're working out all week and you're eating clean and you're on your program all week, and then that you're going to get a cheat meal or a cheat day on Saturday, it'll kind of keep you from picking at stuff throughout the week. Just say, you know what, I'm just going to wait till Saturday. That's my cheat day. And then you can kind of feel guilt-free just eating what you want. You know what I'm saying? So I always preach that to my clients because you always have to think big picture. In this line of work, everybody wants results fast, but I tell people the truth. And the truth is, it doesn't happen that way.
So I was going to say on an average, what would it be? But I guess it really depends on each person, right?
It depends on the person. But remember, true fat loss is going to be like 1 to 2 pounds a week.
No, that makes sense.
That's true.
That makes sense.
Loss. And then I do tell a lot of people, it took you time to put all that weight on. It's going to take time to get it off.
Yeah. So. I find that, when it comes to the diet nowadays, especially in our culture, we're always talking about protein. You mentioning some of the ones that are very protein laden, in which I still do think protein's very important, especially with muscle recovery when you're lifting so heavy. I don't get the DOMS, the delayed onset muscle soreness, as much when I am really focusing in on my protein. But I mean, do you usually go by a certain type of macro, or is it just, it depends on the person?
Honestly, there's so many different factors. Basically, this is why I said earlier, is you have to find a program that fits your lifestyle.
Right.
Let's say that I have a client who works in an office and they're sedentary and they're sitting down and typing all day, versus another client I have that's a UPS driver and he's making 70 stops a day and he's running around nonstop. So, everybody's lifestyle, everybody's body is different depending on, the activity level, and then what type of training that you're doing. If your training is really intense, or if you're just doing cardio and very little weight training. So in all my diets are balanced, basically meaning my diets, I use protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Now, protein obviously is going to be for growth and tissue growth and muscle tissue repair. Carbohydrates are for fuel, basically, and then your fats are good for hormone secretion. So it's more about knowing when it's okay to eat certain things and when it's and when you have to avoid certain things. Carbohydrates aren't bad. Everybody has this stigma that carbs are bad, but it just depends how you're using them. If I have a client who's sitting down all day, do they need a lot of fuel? No, because they're not burning a lot of energy. But if I have a client who does, like I said, who's a UPS driver and he's picking up boxes and he's moving all day, if I don't give him enough carbohydrates, he's going to be exhausted. He's just going to
fizzle out. Yep. No, that makes complete sense. And it's funny, I never really thought of it in that perspective. I always, a lot of times they'll ask, are you sedentary? Are you, lightly active, really active? And I always found that, like, on all of those things that they have them on the website, it's more focused on the caloric intake, but not necessarily the macros, which for our listeners, macros are basically proteins, fats, or carbohydrates. So
now, I don't really believe in like a macro formula, so to say, because the thing is, depending on the training and everything that the individual is doing, your body changes throughout the process, especially if that person is training hard and building a lot of muscle. So that's why I said it's not really like a plug and play formula that you can use. So what I do with my program is I have a check-in day every Saturday. So my clients check in every Saturday. They give me notes about the week. They give me I have a list. That I send them. They answer all the questions for me. So I'm using this information week to week, and I'm making minor adjustments, trying to figure out what's going to work best for that individual.
Do you have people that lie?
Oh, of course, all the time. All the time. And you know what? One thing that I don't do is I don't guilt trip my clients. I don't make them feel bad. I'm not going to give them a hard time. I'm not a babysitter. The people that I work with, they're adults. They pay me for a service. I provide that service. I give you the plan. If you follow it, great. If you don't follow it, that's on you. So I don't have time to go through every person and give them a lecture about how come you didn't do all your cardio. Who wants to be talked to like that? So
it is interesting because I was going to say, when I worked with my last trainer, I never lied to him. He never did have judgment. And I agree. It does make a big difference. It's more to myself.
Yeah.
Like if I'm working on it on myself, which I don't know what that says about my psychological. But no, seriously, I would never, like, to someone that I am not only paying for, but they're investing all this time. It seems almost cruel to do that to someone.
Yeah, I try to relay this to a lot of young people that are that want to do what I do. Is the thing is, training, it has to be an enjoyable experience. And if somebody's paying you money to go spend an hour with you, it's got to be fun. Obviously, we have to get some work done. But if you show up a couple minutes late and they're like, okay, I need you showed up late, I need you to do 20 burpees. And then it's like you're being punished, like you're a child. And, you can't treat people that way. So, with my program, what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And I know that I can't train every person the same way. I have some clients who have these really high goals, and I have to push them to the max. And then I have some clients who just want to come in and get a workout in and just feel good. And if I push them the same way, it's going to turn them off. So you have to learn all your people. Everybody's different, you know.
So what do you do when the motivation factor comes in? Because I do think that this is something that's not uncommon. People come in here, they're like really hard out of the gate. They're going for it. They're running to it. And then, you know, it's not maybe moving. I don't know what the motivation, it might be that it's not moving quick enough, or maybe they're like letting their guard down and they're thinking, you know, I can relax with it a little bit. I mean, do you feel like there are common pitfalls that people fall into, or?
Yeah, you know, if like there's different things that I'll do. Obviously, I'll like if somebody comes to me and says, you know what, I just kind of losing it, like I just don't have that same fire. I tell them, you know what you're feeling is normal. I've gone through that myself. Even when I was competing at the highest level, you just have periods where you're just not as motivated, and that's okay. You can't always expect to be at 100% all the time. That's impossible. So one thing that I really found that works is all the training I do mainly is a lot of small group training. And I'll have about 4 to 6 girls per session. And what I found out is when I get these girls together, they push each other, they motivate each other, they challenge each other. Hey, I did this much weight. Let me see what you could do. I did 17 reps. Let me see what you can do. Like, and it's a challenge, and it's a whole support system where everybody is encouraging each other, and it's all about a positivity, you know, and that's made a huge difference. And then another thing that I found is when my girls really get into training, they're always trying to beat their numbers from like the previous week, whether they did 6 plates on a certain machine 1 week, and then the next week, maybe they did 6 1/4. And it's just, you know, always trying to better themselves. And, you know, that helps also. So.
Well, I think there's nothing more impactful than having a bunch of women together that all are working towards like their own individual goals, but like are encouraging each other to get to their goals. I think it's actually one of my favorite things to watch.
You know, when I decided to start training full time again, you know, and I was competing actively at a very high level, and I had these visions of me training all these bodybuilders, getting ready for competitions. And I had no idea that my clientele was going to be all women. But the truth is, girls are extremely coachable. Girls are very supportive of like other women. Just like you said, it's just like they all get together, they lift each other up, they encourage each other, they hype each other up. Oh, you look so good. Look at these tights that you're wearing. You look so good in them. And, you know, it's just this constant, you know, thing where it's all about a positivity. And just like you said, everybody's, you know, striving for the same goal. So it's, you know, it works.
I find that a lot of people don't understand and I love that you do that with women in particular, that positive reinforcement, that empowerment is really like one of the biggest drivers, I think, for most women. I'm not going to say for all, you know, there are some that just like to be like, you know, yelled at. Not me. but yeah, I think that's really quite powerful. So I would definitely say for anybody that, you know, they're looking to change things, you know, even in the baby steps, for someone that is at home and they're trying to figure out how to baby steps to move forward. I mean, obviously we talked about lifting heavy, but I would definitely caution people to, in that circumstance in particular, I do believe that people can find ways to improve their fitness on their own at home. But when it comes to lifting heavy, that's something you really need a trainer for, because you need that person that's going to make sure you're not hurting yourself. You're being spotted. You are getting your form right, because you can do some serious damage. And speaking as someone that has known people that have, it's scary. But when it comes to, yes.
One thing that I'll say is heavy is a relative term. What's heavy to you isn't heavy to me.
Mm.
So like, when I tell my girls, you got to lift heavy, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's this back breaking weight. It just has to be challenging to you,
Right.
which may not be heavy to another girl. Because I have some girls who can lift a lot of weight. And then I have some girls who can only lift maybe half the amount, but that's heavy to them.
Right.
So.
But even that being said, being that it's a challenge for them, there is that danger of not having good form and everything. But when it comes to doing things on your own, if you were at home and you wanted to get something started, I do like the idea of finding your people, I guess you would say, find your support group.
Definitely makes a big difference.
Yeah.
If you can find, one of your friends to get up every morning, go out on a walk, go do hikes, every Saturday or something, like all that type of stuff will definitely make a big difference. You always need a good support system.
And even though I will say this about cardio, it is almost a little bit like easy access in many ways. I know for myself, I'm 49, going for a walk is probably a little bit more appropriate than, some of the more challenging things I used to do in my 20s and 30s. Mm-hmm. But I also feel as though there's still a lot of things that we can do. It's just about consistency for at least a base health. Yeah. And then, if you want to take it to the next level, that's when they need to find an expert.
Yeah. It just, like I said, it's just about finding something that works for you, finding something that you can enjoy, finding something that's fun. If it's a bike riding, rollerblading, as long as you're doing some type of activity consistently and you get on a proper diet, or just if your nutrition is right, you're going to feel better, you're going to be healthier. Not everybody has to weight train. I recommend that for you to reach your ultimate physique, but not everybody has the same goal. So that's why.
But I have to say, no, I disagree. I actually feel like weight training is so imperative, especially for women, with their bones. And then as we get older, everything starts to go south. Let me tell you, you lose weight, it's only going to go more south. You need to have that muscle mass to kind of compensate.
Definitely. I could give you so many factors where weight training will improve your life, physique, your overall health. But some people just aren't going to like it. Some people just aren't going to be into it. So the bottom line is you just have to find something that you like, find something that you enjoy,
Just because I feel strongly about it doesn't mean everybody has to agree.
Yeah. Now, what I like is I've had a lot of girls come to me with no training experience at all, and just watching them change little by little. And, they get this excitement about having this new strength that they didn't have before. And all these girls, they always tell me, I want to get stronger. I want to get stronger. So the girls really like that type of stuff. So I found that once we really get into the weight training and they understand everything and how it works, they're all kind of drawn to it, and it just gets to be like addicting to where you always want to do better.
There's something incredibly empowering about it.
Yeah.
Like it makes you feel like you can conquer the world, not just in the gym and lifting weights, but outside of the gym, and about everything in your life. You suddenly feel as though you're able to do something that you never thought you could do.
It does help with confidence a lot. I'll get girls that'll come in and they're kind of down, and then after a few months of training, they're just uplifted and just excited about things and doing, going out and, I got this new dress, and it just carries over into so many other aspects. So
it's funny. I feel like so for full disclosure for everybody with our listeners, we had one of my coworkers, Ashley, who goes to Garrett. Mm-hmm. She's the one that recommended to have him come on. And I'm thinking, we're going to talk about transformations. We're going to talk about New Year's resolutions and everything. But in all honesty, I do feel like this is a great conversation about really just lifting, in my opinion. And I just feel like I forgot how important it is, one, for women's physical health. I mean, to prevent osteoporosis. And even as for young women, I mean, it just gives you a great physique. Older women too, but also just the metabolism. I mean, there's so many benefits. But I think the biggest one for me, because I'm being reminded this as we talk, is that feeling as though you can conquer the world.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Confidence is a big factor. When you can give somebody confidence, it's going to do a lot of things for them. And I have so many girls tell me, oh, I feel so confident about myself now, and I couldn't wear this stuff before. And just in every walk of life, you walk around with your head held high and you feel good. And, it makes a big difference. It really does. And it's like all these things are all tied together. And, when you're on the right track and you're eating good and you're feeling good and you're training, it just has this positive effect, this uplifting effect that can carry over into your work life, your relationship, everything really.
Yeah, because quite frankly, if you can lift that weight that you never thought you could lift before, and it's something that you incrementally work towards. It's not something that just came easy. You work towards it, and then you finally accomplish it. I mean, that feeling just really does translate to everything. You start to look at the world in a different perspective, right? Like, okay, I keep on pushing forward, I'm going to achieve what I need to achieve. That is so great. I admire what you do, and I admire what you do for all of these great clients that you have on your social media. I hope that everybody goes on and takes a look. And Garrett, I think I'm going to have to harass you in a few months or something and have you come on. We'll have to do a check-in or something. Remind people to stay on track.
Yeah, anytime. I could talk about this stuff all day. This has been my life since I was 15, 16. So it's not a job to me. I'm blessed to be able to share my passion with others and uplift others and help other people. And when you get a lot of people that are grateful and just really thankful for what you can provide for them, it's very satisfying.
It's no better feeling.
Yeah,
it's no better feeling.
And I love it. I love what I do. I love that I can help people. I love that I can have a positive impact on a person's life. That's what life's about for me. I'm using the skills that I know to help people. And, I try to do my best to help people to the best way that I can. So.
Well, thank you for coming on, Garrett, and Happy New Year.
Thank you for having me. Happy New Year.